You are listening to the Life Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Carlstad, episode number 172. Welcome to the Life Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to a whole new level. If you're ready to start taking powerful action and become the leader your business needs in order to grow and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Carlstad, certified life and business coach and entrepreneurial leadership expert. Now let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope you're doing amazing. Today, I decided to bring to you a teaching that I released a while back. And the teaching is on inevitable thinking. And this is a really important teaching that I felt inclined to bring back to you all today as a bit of a reminder to serve as inspiration to help you with your clarity in your business and really give you some tools on how to start developing this type of thinking in your business. So my goal is that today's episode really helps you to lean into that expanded vision for yourself, for your business. And it's a really important conversation that I think you're going to find a ton of value in. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. Today, I want to talk to you about the power of thinking inevitably. And this has been something that I have been doing a lot of thinking about myself over the past few weeks. I recently actually did a training on this in one of my programs, and I decided I wanted to bring it to you all today in the podcast because I think this is a really important conversation. I think that it's a really important concept for you all to understand and for you all to really work to embody in your business. So, one of the things that I want to start out by saying is that whenever you are looking to make an up level, whether it's in your life or whether it's in your business, which I know for all of you listening to this show that you are in that process right now. But whenever you're going through that process, it's going to require that your level of belief and your level of faith and your focus, your long-term focus changes and it evolves. And so when I'm thinking about, for instance, for so many of you, I know that you want to build a highly successful business. I know that you want to, for many of you, build a $1 million practice. And so as I think about that and I think about the process of that, the question really is how do you build a level of belief that really supports that level of growth, right? And so when I think about this, it really comes back to building the belief around that your result is inevitable. So I think it's important that when you get an idea of a goal, when you get an idea of a result that you want to achieve. And so I'm going to use the $1 million coaching business as our example, because I know that is the result that so many of you want. When you get the idea of that, when you get the idea of that result, it's important to understand that by nature of having that idea, by nature of that vision happening in your mind, it's already in the process of becoming a reality. And so one of the examples that I used recently was one of my clients who is in my mastermind program. She actually is building out a mindset coaching program for her existing business. So she has a highly successful brick and mortar business that she is running, and she actually coaches athletes. And so she's going to be bringing in a mindset coaching program to further support her athletes and really help her athletes take everything to the next level. So one of the visions that she has for her business, one of the long-term visions that we have talked about several times, is the fact that she wants to eventually, within a certain time frame, have her own facility where she will be able to host several events. She'll be able to host several sporting events, and also the mindset aspect of her business, being able to host trainings, host coaching sessions, group coaching sessions, really pull the athletes together and have them meet face to face if they're local, and then also have the option to deliver that training, to deliver that coaching in a virtual way. And so she knows in that instance, in that example of that result, that there's going to be certain steps that she's going to have to go through, right? There's going to have to be a certain process that she takes her business through, that she leads her business through in order to create that result. So one of the things that we've been talking about recently, and I was coaching this client on, is that we already know that that's possible, right? And she's got some examples even close to her where this is really possible. She sees the evidence of this being possible for her. And we know essentially what it's going to take to acquire a facility like that. We know financially what that is going to require of her and of her business. We have an idea of what type of revenue that's going to require in order for her to be in a position to do that. Okay. So when we think about that, end result, that vision, because we have that level of clarity, because she has that expanded vision, which I talked about this in episode 108, we'll link that up in the show notes. It's called Expanded Vision. Because she has that expanded vision and she is ultimately playing a much bigger game than where she is today, she is automatically starting to embody the leadership. She's embodying the mindset. She's embodying the behaviors and the habits of someone that creates that type of result. Okay. So even though we don't have a 100% clear idea of how that's going to happen for her, right? We have some idea. We have some pieces of information. We have the strategy that we are working on right now that she's implementing in her business. But at the end of the day, nobody really knows exactly how that's going to shake out, right? Exactly how that's actually going to play out in her business. But what's really going to be important here for her, and this is what I was coaching her on, is really building her belief in terms of the inevitability of that result being created. So what's really important, first off, to understand here is that by nature of having these visions that you have, by nature of you being able to see the type of business that you want to build, the type of business that you want to create, the clients that you want to work with, what all of the pieces of that look like, having the ability to visualize this and to see that is by nature already being on the frequency of that. It's already being on the frequency of whatever that end result is. So I want to offer to all of you, if you're in a place right now where you can see the bigger picture, you can see the bigger results, you can see the bigger business, you can see that $1 million business, whatever that looks like for you, I want you to know that it's already in motion for you. And you don't need to question whether or not it's possible for you. You don't need to question whether or not you're capable. you don't need to question how you're actually going to go about doing that. By having that vision, and by you spending time with that vision and thinking about that vision, is already evidence for you that it's in the process of happening. So I want to offer this to all of you because I just think this is one of the most powerful truths that you can know. It's one of those powerful truths that I think has the potential to change everything. And I know this is something that I have leaned on a lot in my own journey. And I want to encourage you all to really take away this truth from this podcast and really take this for yourself and lean on this in your own journey. So we aren't given these ideas, we aren't given these visions for no reason. Instead, there's a reason that we all have the vision that we have. There's a reason that we are being pulled, right? That we can see a certain pathway for us. And so with that, I've found that there's really what I would call 4 phases that I think every coach, every entrepreneur goes through as they are in the journey of building their business, as they are in the journey of building to that bigger vision and creating that bigger result that really is related to their level of belief. And it's related to this inevitability that I'm talking about. So the first phase that I see many coaches and many clients that I work with, that especially when I'm onboarding them, bringing them into my programs, they tend to fall into this first phase, which is being able to see the possibility, but not being sure if it's possible for you. So that's what I would say is really this first phase, right? There's examples of where the possibility is there, right? There's examples that you may see out in the industry, or you may know of someone that has created a similar type of business, right? There's the possibility is there. You can see the actual evidence of it. But the difference in this phase is that you're just not sure that it's possible yet for you. Okay, so that's really the first phase of inevitability. So this next phase, which is phase 2, is when we start to move into it is possible and it is possible for me. So this is where we start to not only see the tangible examples where it is possible, where we actually have evidence where this is possible, but where we actually start to believe that it's also possible for me. In this phase, we make the decision that it is possible and it's possible for me. So one of the keys here with phase 2 is that there's a decision that's made, right? So when you think about, for instance, in the coaching industry, as you are working to build your business, when you're in the first phase of inevitability, when you see the examples of that end result being possible, but you don't yet believe that it's possible for you, in order to move into this next phase, into phase 2, which is it is possible and it's possible for me, the difference here is that it's really a decision that you make. It's a decision that you decide that it is possible for you as well. So that's really the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. Now, phase 3, this is when we start to move into what I call high probability. Okay. So this is where in this phase, you start to move into a place where there is real momentum, where you've already made the decision that it's going to happen, but you've also started to embody the person that creates that end result. So your behaviors, your actions, your habits, your embodiment is lining up with creating that end result that you desire. So there's a frequency in this phase of it is happening and it's highly probable, and there's a real momentum that exists when you're in this phase. And one of the examples that I will share is a personal example. So over the last couple of years, as I have been growing and scaling my own business, one of the things that I have invested in my own personal growth, in my own business growth, is high-level coaching. And I have talked about this a number of times. I firmly believe that if you're building a business, if you're scaling a business, it's really critical that you have a coach. And so for me, it's always been a non-negotiable. I've always had a coach. I've always paid for high-level coaching, whether that is something more directly related to the actual business or whether it's something that I might be working on personally. And so when I think about the process that I've gone through in working with different coaches and investing in different programs and learning different skills and developing, my skill sets in different areas, really by nature of doing that and going through that process, not only was I moving from that phase 2, right? Which was, okay, this is possible, right? My $1 million business is possible and it's possible for me, but it's really then moving into that third phase, which is making big moves in your business, which is being willing to really bet on yourself, which is really making that firm decision that things are going to happen, right? And that there's consistent action, right? There's consistent behaviors that are acted upon in the business that create and line up with the end result. And so when I think about my own journey, I can see, there's been very specific times in this journey when I have invested in coaching programs. I've invested in working with certain mentors where it really helped me to move my belief from that phase 2 into that phase 3, into where this is highly probable, right? But but also realizing, hey, I need some extra support in this particular area or in these areas. But I know I've made the decision that this is going to happen. I've made the decision that I will build $1 million plus coaching business, right? So I just think it's really important to also think about what is happening as you're moving through these 4 different phases, right? So the first phase is a lot of seeking out that evidence. It's being able to see the possibilities that are out there, but there's also a lot of times the second guessing. There's a lot of the self-doubt that's coming up. There's a lot of the, I don't know if I'm capable of building a business to that level. Moving into phase 2, it's making the decision, right? It's saying, I see that this is possible. I am deciding that it's going to be possible for me, right? Moving into phase 3, then we've already made the decision that it's going to happen, but we start to really back that up with bold moves in our business. We back that up in really putting ourselves out in a much bigger way. It's really shifting from who we are, right, today into who we need to become in order to lead the business to that level of growth. So that's a really important distinction between those 3 phases. All right, so the 4th phase is inevitability. So that's when we've moved into the phase where it's happening. And the shift here from phase 3 to this phase 4, first of all, I want to say when it comes to this last phase, this last phase, so being in inevitability, doesn't happen, minutes before you reach your goal. This is something that you are living in, right? You are operating from this place likely for months, and maybe even in some cases, depending on your goal, it could even be for years, right? And so this is where there is proof, right, that it is happening. There is proof. There's actual tangible results that are happening that actually prove, right, the inevitability of this happening in the business. And you're hitting typically these bigger milestones, right? And one of the things that's really important to understand about this phase, and I think just a really good lesson overall for all of you, is that as you're moving up this ladder, this inevitability ladder of belief in your business, as it relates to your business and as it relates to you and your ability to create the level of business that you really want. So when you can set your vision out at least 3 years, for some of you, 5 years might be a better window. What's really interesting is that when you allow yourself the space, when you allow yourself the time to create your business to that level, when you allow yourself that space to really envision that big result and really go big with that, what it actually does is it allows you in so many ways to actually accelerate your growth. It allows you to essentially collapse time because you have that bigger vision, because you know where you're going. You know where that big end result is, which then makes all of the challenges and all of the hardships that you're dealing with in the present, when you're truly operating from that space, it allows you to move through them so much quicker. It allows you to not take things so personally. It allows you to be able to be more resilient in the moment and find solutions versus when you are overly attached to a result that must happen in a shorter time frame. It actually produces a lot more pressure, right? It produces a lot more tension in being able to achieve that goal. So in this fourth phase, what's really interesting is that as you set that bigger vision, as you set that timeline out, you're able to accelerate the speed at which you achieve your goals. You're able to align yourself to the inevitability of that big vision. And because you are playing a bigger game, because you are embodying this bigger version of you, because you are embodying a different and higher version of yourself, the bigger game then starts to happen, right? Those bigger results then start to happen. And so you start to hit those bigger milestones and you start to hit them more quickly. And it really quickly becomes that quantum growth. It's like quantum speed at which you're able to really start achieving those goals. And it's because you're in alignment to the inevitability of your bigger vision. It's because you're taking consistent action every day. It's because you are showing up and making bigger, more committed decisions in your business. It's because you are more convicted in the decision that you've made, that this bigger vision is going to happen for you, that you're going to create it. And so when you do that, the road bumps and again, those challenges that you're inevitably going to face, the quote unquote failures and the challenges that you experience will become so much easier to deal with because you're going to give yourself more grace. You're going to give yourself more space. You're also going to be more resilient in the moment. And it's also because you're actually making these bigger moves forward in your business. It's because you're aligning to that bigger version of yourself. You're aligning to that bigger vision of your business. So just know that in the process, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be all sorts of challenges along the way. And just know that at the end of the day, it's really being able to move through these 4 phases of inevitability and thinking and operating from a place of inevitability. And the sooner you can get into a place where it's not only probable, but it's inevitable, right? You're going to start seeing those accelerated results. So I want to invite you all, if this is something that you're interested in, go to my website, amandakarlstadcoaching.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you and talk about what's possible for you in the coming year. I'd love to help you make this a breakthrough year. All right, everyone, have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you all again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, if you're ready for a real breakthrough in your business and want to grow and scale your business to at least 6 figures or more in annual revenue, I invite you to apply for my exclusive program, The Mastermind, at amandakarlstadcoaching.com/the-mastermind. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Life Coach Business Podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build, grow, and scale your business and accelerate your results, visit amandakarlstadcoaching.com.